Before the idea of a shared cinematic universe was a gleam in a madman's eye, Universal unleashed crossover movies featuring some of their most iconic fiends. Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, and Dracula met in frantic free-for-alls which left audiences breathless. Universal didn't plan to create an interconnected series of monster mashes. The first crossover, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, came about when screenwriter Kurt Saaldemak jokingly pitched the title to producer George Wagner. What began life as a half-hearted joke became a loose cinematic universe of 10 movies. Before we can get to the main event, we have to take a look at the solo adventures which introduced Universal's monsters to the world. These early movies don't build to a crescendo of continuity porn, but watching them helps to gain a greater sense of character and atmosphere. To get the full experience of the crossover movies, one should start at the beginning. Dracula, 1931. The 1931 version of Dracula needs no introduction. The iconic imagery of Bela Lugosi as the sinister bloodsucker is known even to non-horror fans. As an oldie, the movie does show its age, but holds together with a short running time. Frankenstein, 1931. The success of Dracula spurred the creation of what would become yet another face in Universal's rogue gallery. Frankenstein is a gruesome creature feature that proved to be an even larger success than Dracula. And with great success comes a sequel. Bride of Frankenstein, 1935. The second half of a 1-2 punch of cinematic bliss, Bride of Frankenstein builds upon the world created by its predecessor. In this one, the triumph of Frankenstein and his monster quickly turns to tragedy. And since Bride of Frankenstein was a success, the sequels kept coming. Son of Frankenstein, 1939. Here, Frankenstein's son attempts to redeem his father's reputation by resurrecting the monster which brought ruin to their family's honor and terror to the local village. Unlike the sequels to Dracula, the Frankenstein series had tight continuity, which helped to create a rich world of woe and wonder. The Wolfman, 1941. In this hair-raising howler, Universal introduces a new monster to its pantheon, the tragic Wolfman. No good deed goes unpunished as Larry Talbot saves a woman from a werewolf, only to be bitten himself. Audiences loved the movie, which ensured a sequel, but not right away. The Ghost of Frankenstein, 1942. Yes, The Ghost of Frankenstein makes an appearance in this sequel, which also features brain swapping, panicked villagers, and of course, everybody's favorite hunchback, Igor. Another of Frankenstein's sons continues the family tradition of playing God, and things inevitably end in tragedy. Will they ever learn? Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, 1943. Well, they do meet, eventually. The Wolfman is resurrected and proceeds on a quest to end his tortuous existence. His quest puts him on the path to Frankenstein's secrets and to a confrontation with Frankenstein's monster. You definitely can't keep these guys down. The fight ends in a draw, but the world would have to wait a few years for a rematch. Son of Dracula, 1943. While the Frankenstein and Wolfman series maintained a relatively tight continuity, Son of Dracula poses more questions than answers. Here, Dracula poses as Alucard, yes, Dracula backwards, clever. Very clever. In a world where a character is reading the Dracula novel. Is this movie a sequel or its own beast? If it's a sequel, then how is Dracula resurrected? Regardless of any confusion, Son of Dracula is just a brief diversion before the double main event. House of Frankenstein, 1944. This movie isn't the battle royal that Universal advertised. That would come in House of Dracula. But we are treated to monster mayhem when a mad scientist vows to get revenge against the people who put him in prison. Dracula doesn't even meet Frankenstein's monster in the Wolfman, instead putting in what amounts to an extended cameo. House of Dracula, 1945. Continuity? What continuity? Even though they met their demises in House of Frankenstein, all three monsters return none the worse for wear. Dracula and the Wolfman seek a cure for their respective afflictions in this tale of desire and deception. We never really see a three-way battle between Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman, but having all three in a movie that's more cohesive than the previous entry is a treat. The mind marvels at what Universal could have achieved had they set out to make a unified series with an attention to continuity. What they created, instead, remain triumphs of terror that continue to thrill audiences to this day. What's your favorite classic Universal monster movie? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.